words too. I'm very happy to be here actually because again with you guys because I believe that for us in South America and for you in Africa, we have to unite our forces in order to have our needs heard by FIFA because as we know FIFA rules especially they are very Eurocentric kind of a way we have to always unite and discuss matters such as the intermediaries matters, such as the transfer market matters, because we are a big part of the ecosystem of football. So I'm very happy to be here and to discuss this topic with you. For the ones who don't know me, my name is Sekealma. I'm a lawyer at the law firm Motta Advogados in Brazil. I worked for almost 7 years there. We are the first law firm in South America to have a team specialized in sports law back in the 2000. And we have some experience in international sports law, in national sports law, in transfer markets, intermediaries, worldwide, etc. I've done a master in international sports law in Madrid. So I live in Madrid for 6 months to do this master. And as part of the master, I also lived in London, where I worked in another law firm and in a sports agency in London. So I was able to learn more about the intermediary world in a more international environment, in international dimension. So yeah, I think this is gonna be a nice chat to have with you guys, and hope that's you can learn something, and that I can learn something from you too. Can I start now, Michael? Should I share my PowerPoint, or you want to say something before?
Yeah, you can go on. Go ahead.
Okay, let me share. I'm not able to share my screen here. Can you give me?
Yeah, I've allowed it.
Oh yeah. Oh, now it's good. Okay. Can you see?
Yeah.
Can you see the screen? Okay. Okay, guys. I'm gonna talk about intermediaries as Michael said, and I will give kind of an overview of what happened in the past, what is happening right now, and what's gonna happen in the future in terms of intermediaries. Okay. This is my personal CV. Shortly, in Motta Advogados, I have a master in Madrid. I'm a member of the National Academy of Sports Law in Brazil, in the Youth Commission, and I'm an editor and writer of a blog in international sports law called Lex Sportiva blog. Very interesting. Is a blog that I have with a friend from the master, a British friend, and we have some very good articles. Our experience, we have some experience in terms of international sports law, in terms of transfers, in terms of everything that's related to sports law. Actually, we have years of experience in almost every matter that relates to sports law. We have a sports law team, we have a civil team, we have a labor team, we have a corporate law team, we have sports betting. We have almost a lot of areas in our office that permit us to give a 360 degree service for our clients. So these are some pictures that I have with some of our clients. Maxi Lopez when he went to Vasco, Leandro Castan when he went to Vasco, William. This is a picture that I took in his apartment in London before he went to Arsenal. This is a picture of me and Neymar's father. This on the right is me and Naldo, that's playing in Turkey right now. He was playing Espanyol in Barcelona when I took this picture with him. And here in the middle, a picture of me in World in Motion. That is a sport agency back in London that I was able to work for 3 months, and I learned a lot with the agents there. When I lecture about intermediaries, I like to give these two quotes that I include in the last 2 articles that I wrote about intermediaries. This first one I wrote to the Lex on intermediaries, specifically in terms of enact. I start my article saying, quoting a chant that Millwall fans they usually sing during the matches. That is no one likes us, we don't care. And it's interesting because I went to a Millwall match last year and they sing that all the time. And why they sing that? Because this is a kind of a response from the Millwall fans to the press and to the media that constantly criticize them because of their posture. They are kind of aggressive sometimes, and they are always saying, no one likes us, we don't care. But this can also fit the intermediaries, the agents, in my point of view, because FIFA, as you will see, FIFA, in fact, in reality, they don't like intermediaries. They don't like agents. If they could, they would exclude the agents from the football family. But they know they can't because the agents are very important in the football ecosystem, as I will show you. And they cannot just exclude them from the regulations. They cannot just exclude them. Otherwise, they will create a black market. Okay. And the second quote is a quote from Mino Raiola in an interview he gave a few years ago. And he said, I need to know what the clubs want before they know it. A transfer is usually the job of many months. The public only sees the final result. And that's true. If you look at the press and at the media, they'll never say like, oh, this agent discovered this young talent. He brought him to a club here in Africa, and now the player is getting transferred to Manchester United. No, it's never a new an article about that in the media. It's always a big transfer of a big player, and the agent is receiving millions and millions as commissions, and always in a sense to criticize how much money the agents are earning. But what the big public they don't see is that the transfer usually takes months to conclude. And not only that, the agent has to go around all the country, sometimes to other countries, in order to discover big players and in order to represent them, to give them the opportunity to go to a big club. Okay, but the media only focus on the less than 1%. That's the Mino Raiola. Not that. That's what I always start my presentation saying, because people usually look at an agent and say that no, agents are bad. They are earning money from our club or from our players, and that shouldn't be like that. Just some numbers on intermediaries. That's from the FIFA TMS report. Is more than 1,000 of 7,000 clubs involving international transfers since 2013 used an intermediary at least once. Okay? So intermediaries, they are very important for the football ecosystem. If we didn't have intermediaries, probably we wouldn't have big players in some big clubs right now, because a player, when he starts, he doesn't have the connections. He doesn't have. Sometimes the player is from the suburbs of a small town, and he can't go to a right away. He needs somebody to take care of his career, to administrate his needs, in order and to have the connections in order to go to a club and to have an opportunity in football. From the 6,000 international transfers completed in 2018, more than 1,000 involved intermediaries representing engaging club, more than 300 involved intermediaries representing the player. So the most common thing to happen is when the intermediaries, they represent a player or the engaging club. It's very rare to have intermediaries representing the previous club, leasing club. And the spending on commission paid to intermediaries increased to more than $500 million in 2018, and a total of more than $2 billion since 2000. FIFA, of course, is not happy with that. So the critics that usually set forth by FIFA, by the press, and other people that don't like agents, they say that the agent usually has influence on the player's decision. They usually pressure for a club and the player for a transfer or renegotiation of a contract so they can earn some money in commission. That money leaving the football family, that's the most used argument from FIFA and from other stakeholders. In certain transfers, money laundering, and other critics. Okay, but on the other side, what is the reality? We have this study carried out in France that concluded that annual average remuneration for French agents is around 27,000 euros per annum for each year per annum. And about 15,000 euros after tax. So it's like more or less 1,000 euros per month. So that's the average commission from a French agent. And of course, the media will never say that in its articles. They always say the big commissions to show them how the agents are bad, how the agents are earning a lot of money, and why they need to be regulated and limited in some points. So this is the chronology that I'm going to analyze. I'm going to analyze the 2018 FIFA Players Agency Regulations very briefly, which was substituted by the 2015 regulations on working with intermediaries, and I'm going to talk about the 2021 new reform on the system that FIFA is planning, and they will enact new regulations on agents for next year. Okay. So, starting with the 2008 FIFA Players Agents Regulations. Who is an agent? For FIFA, the player's agent is a natural person who, for a fee, introduces players to clubs with a view to negotiating or renegotiating an employment contract, or introduces two clubs to one another with a view to concluding a transfer agreement in compliance with the provisions set forth in these regulations. So basically, the agent is a natural person that negotiates an employment contract for the player or a transfer agreement for a club. This was a definition in 2008 and didn't change very much to date. Okay. To become a player's agent, back then you need to have a license. You have to request for a license. So the player's agent's activity may only be carried out by natural persons who are licensed by the relevant association to carry out such. And the representation contract is the most important contract for the player's agent. A player's agent shall be permitted to represent a player or a club only by concluding a relevant written representation contract with that player. I like to give this observation down here. Legal person in contracts. Back then, before the 2015 regulations, legal person in the contracts were not accepted by FIFA. So usually happened back in the office when that regulations were in force, that some agents, they put in the contract, in the commission agreement or in the representation contract, that they included instead of the natural person of the agent itself, the agent himself, they put their legal person, which is not licensed by FIFA. So when FIFA sees this contract saying, oh, this legal person is signing this contract with this club or this player, and if they want to claim before FIFA, FIFA would reject their jurisdiction because FIFA doesn't have jurisdiction over legal persons. Okay, only on natural person that is licensed by FIFA. Okay, so that was something that was not really good actually to the market. We had some contracts, some big contracts, some international contracts that the agent was not very well assisted by a lawyer, and they put the legal person in the contract, and they then couldn't claim before FIFA for their commission. Remuneration, usually the amount of remuneration due to the player's agent who has been engaged to act on the player's behalf is calculated on the basis of the player's annual basic income, okay, including signing on fee that the player's agent has negotiated for him in the employment contract. Important to say that such amount shall not include the player's other benefits, such as car, flats, point premiums, and any other kind of bonus or privilege. In international transfer agreements, it's very common for the clubs to offer the player a car, to offer a furnished apartment, and to offer other bonus. But these kind of these kind of benefits, they are not considered in order to calculate a commission due for the player's agents. And the dispute resolution mechanism that international disputes would be carried out by the FIFA Players Status Committee, and that was wonderful, not only for agents but for lawyers too, because when you had the international transfer and you have an agent as a client that has to receive commission transfer, they could only go to FIFA. They could go to FIFA, claim their commission. In less than 1 year, you have your commission, you have your legal fees, everybody happy, and that's it. So that, as I will show you, that changed in 2015, and nowadays, at least, is much harder in terms of international transfers to claim for your commission. Okay, domestic disputes, they would be carried out by the national DRCs in each association or state courts. Okay, and any agent, club, or player found in violation of the agent regulations was subject to potential sanctions. For example, you cannot use, if you're a player or a club, you cannot use the services of an unlicensed agents. As I said, this system failed. FIFA, they mentioned a lot of arguments in order to regulate the system, or to deregulate the system, actually. The main one was this first one, that statistic that was kind of shady and not very well explained by FIFA. This statistic was only mentioned in FIFA in an event back in 2011, 2012, saying that between 25% to 30% of the international transfers that had the participation of an agent, only 30% of all the international transfers worldwide had the participation of a licensed agent. Okay, so if you analyze the statistic, that was not disclosed very well by FIFA. There are some questions that arise, such as if 30% of the transfer were carried out by licensed agents, so you're insinuating that 70% were carried out by non-licensed agents. So if 70% were not carried out by licensed agents, why didn't any player or club were sanctioned for using a non-licensed agents? It doesn't it was not very well explained, because FIFA has mechanisms to challenge, to correct such situations in order to make their regulations being complied with. Okay, so it was not very well explained. Nobody got sanctioned for using non-licensed intermediaries. So this narrative was not very well disclosed. There were a general disregard of the regulations. Agents and clubs preferred not to report the transactions. There were great divergences between national regulations regarding the activities of a player's agent. Each country has their regulations on agents, and some domestic regulations were not very complying with the general standards of FIFA. Okay, and there was a shady examination system, because to be a licensed agent, you have to go through an exam, and there was some stuff that were not very well known in terms of exam back then. Then you have a reform in 2015 that a new regulation was since 1st April 2015 that replaced the FIFA players agents regulations of 2008. And these new regulations, they basically set minimum standards. FIFA, I'm decentralizing the competence to deal with agents matters. So FIFA, I'm saying to all my member associations, you're gonna take care of the agents from now on. Okay, so they just say, you have to set your own regulations, you have to set your own registration system, you have to control the market, you have to give transparency, and you have to deal with eventual disputes. Okay, so basically now, instead of being a licensed agent, now you have to be a registered intermediary. Okay, so you have to go through a registration process before the specific association in order to provide the service of an agent within this association. So if you want to work in Brazil, you have to be registered in Brazil. If you want to work in Argentina too, you have to be registered in Brazil and in Argentina. And if you want to go to Nigeria, you have to be registered in Nigeria too. So as you can see, it's exhausting, it's a mess. You have to go through all these bureaucratic registration systems, and it's not an easy task, okay? And if you want to claim for your commission, for example, if I want to claim a commission of my client, a Brazilian client in Nigeria against a club, I have to be registered. I have to register the agents in Nigeria to use their national DRC in order to claim for my commission. So the definition of intermediary is not very different from the one that I said before, but now they included the legal person. Okay, so now legal persons, they can be registered in the associations and they can act as an intermediary. Okay, and it was included a registration procedure too. For the sake of transparency, each association is required to implement a registration system for intermediaries that has to be publicized in accordance with the articles below. Intermediaries also must be registered in each relevant registration system every time they are individually involved in a specific transaction. So usually what happens is that you have to be registered in a country to act as an agent there, and each transaction that you work in that country, you have to register this transaction and inform the relevant association, okay, for the sake of transparency. Representation contracts, what are the minimal details to be inserted in a representation contract in order for them to be valid? You have to include the names of the parties, the scope of the service, establish which service are you providing for the party, the duration of the legal relationship, the remuneration due to the intermediary, the legal terms of the payment, the date of conclusion, the termination provisions, and the signature of the parties. Okay, if the player is a minor, the player's legal guardian shall also sign the representation contract. So FIFA say that it's okay if you're a minor, if you sign with intermediary, as long as you have the legal guardian signing too. Okay, but FIFA also say that you have to be in compliance with the national law of the country in which the player is domiciled. For example, here in Brazil, we have a lot of rules in terms of minors that sometimes restrict the agent's activity, okay? So in order, if you're a lawyer or if you're an intermediary, you have to analyze the national law of the minor and the club he's going and the club he's coming from. Parties must ensure that no conflict of interest exists. Okay, this is another point that FIFA always emphasize. There is the conflict of interest. The intermediary has the obligation to disclose any potential conflict of interest and obtain the agreement from all the parties involved in the transaction. So what FIFA is saying is that you're an intermediary, you can act for more than one party in the negotiation. You can act for the player, you can act you can act for the engaging club too, you can act for the releasing club too, but you have to get consent from everybody. You have to get written consent. Okay. Sometimes no, a lot of times we have clients that come over with a dispute to start. Oh, this player did not comply. This player did not pay my commission. I have to claim against him. So then when we analyze all the documents, we see that, okay, you act for the player, but you also act for the club. Did you comply with the written consent from the player and from the club when before you started the negotiation? And they don't even know what I'm talking about. So it's very important not only to seek for a lawyer service after the problem has arisen. You have to get a prevent service too, in order to avoid this kind of situations in which the agent can be sanctioned for not complying with the regulations. Remuneration, FIFA was actually in 2015 already thinking about establishing a cap and commission, but of course they were afraid of stipulating a limit for the player's commission. So what they said, what they included in their article, in their regulations, was a suggestion, a recommendation for the associations to include in their regulations. Okay, so FIFA says that a commission for an agent should not exceed 3% of the player's remuneration when they're representing the player or the buying club, or 3% of the amount paid in the transfer of the player when representing the selling club. Okay, so FIFA set this recommendation, but if you work in football for a little time, if you work in football for more than a year, you will see that 3% is too low. To be honest, I never seen. I read a lot of commission agreements. I read a lot of representation contracts in my life, and I never seen a representation contract setting 3% commission. It's always more than 5% at least. Okay, so the reality of the market is that the concentration of high commissions goes to a few agents. So if you set a low remuneration for the small agents, what you're doing is that you're pushing away the small agents from the market, because they will not be able to be duly remunerated for their services. The sanctions and the dispute resolution mechanisms, FIFA is also saying is the job for the associations. I will not take care of that at all. So why that's bad? That's bad because not only if you're an agent, you have to be registered in each association that you want to provide services. You should also be registered in the associations that you want to claim for commission. Okay, so it's not an easy task. Sometimes you're representing a client in in Nigeria, a player in Nigeria, and he's going to a club in Ghana, and you have to claim the commission in Ghana, but the player is already playing in Europe, so it's kind of a mess in order for you to enforce a decision for the player to comply with. Okay, so it's not an easy task. It's not an easy task for the lawyers. It's not an easy task for the intermediaries too. Okay, and any sanction imposed on clubs, players, or agents shall be notified to FIFA in order to give worldwide effect or not. What the regulation says about minors is very simple. Sometimes, of course, when you analyze this, you have to analyze also the domestic regulations and the national law. But in terms of FIFA regulations, there are no restrictions in order to sign a representation contract with a minor, but you have to have the legal guardians to give consent and sign the representation contract together. Okay? That's okay, you can sign with a minor. However, FIFA regulations, they prohibit you to be remunerated for the service rendered to clubs and for our players if the player concerned is a minor. So if you're acting just for the club and you're transferring a minor within the national association, for example, you cannot be remunerated at all because the player involved is a minor. That's in FIFA regulations, that applies to everybody. Okay. So what started to happen? In 2016, I'm sure you guys remember the Pogba deal, in which Pogba back in the day was the biggest transfer in the history. Manchester United paid 89 million pounds to sign Pogba, and together with that, Mino Raiola was the agent involved. He received 41 million pounds as commission, and he received from the three parties involved. They received from Juventus, that was a releasing club. He received from Manchester United, he was the engaging club, and he received from Pogba. So in total, he received more than 40 million pounds. And why FIFA? Why this one? It was called the yellow card by FIFA. By FIFA, not by the market, by the stakeholders. Because FIFA looked at this and said, oh my God, I cannot permit an agent to receive this kind of money like that, and to permit one agent to act for the three parties right away. So I had to do something about it. So this was the yellow card. And the red card came actually last year in FIFA Annual Law Review. Is an event that FIFA is carrying out every year to show to the market what they've done in the previous year, what they will do in the next years. And in one of the presentations, they said that they need to reform the system again. They admit that the system of intermediaries, it failed. It was not a very good regulatory framework, and we need to reform. And why they said this, and which narrative they used this time in order to reform again the system. They showed these statistics. Okay, they compared the spending on agents' commissions versus payments to training clubs. As you know, FIFA have a lot of consideration with the training clubs. They want to give money to the clubs. They want to reward the clubs that participated in the training and education of the players. They want to reward their clubs. But what they see in these statistics is that the players' agents are receiving much more money in comparison to the training clubs. Okay, in my point of view, this argument doesn't make a lot of sense, because you're taking you're comparing two different factors, two different institutes. That one is the agents commission that usually is talking about the remuneration of the player, while in the payments to training clubs are taking into consideration the transfer fees. So for me, it doesn't make a lot of sense, this comparison, but FIFA, that was a red card to the transaction, and this is only the amount that we know about. That's the amount that we were reported, but probably there are more amounts involved. So the system failed again. If now we're gonna have to deregulate and make some big changes again in the agents markets. Okay. So the delegation, this decentralization I talked about that FIFA implemented in 2015, generated serious inconsistencies between each association has different regulations for agents, and some of them were really really different. So sometimes it makes a lot of disparity in terms of regulations. Okay, and the objectives pursued were not reached. Agents still earn a lot of money. Agents still represent more than one party, and FIFA understand that the system is not working very well too. Okay, so they started a consultation process to reform the system since April 2018. Now I'm going to show you some kind of inconsistencies in the 2015 regulations from the the member associations. Each one has a lot of different aspects in comparison to one another. Okay, for example, in the registration process, in order for you to be registered in Czech Republic, in Denmark, in Ukraine, you have to do an exam. But in other countries, you only have to do an interview. In other country, you only have to have a professional to have a work permit in order to provide services in that country. For example, in Mexico, in order you have a license, you have to get a license, like in France. In order you have to have a bachelor's degree. So each one of them, you have a lot of countries that have a lot of disparities in terms of registration process, and that was not what FIFA was seeking. They want more or less minimum standards. They wanted the system to be more or less the same to every country. Still in the registration process, some associations, they require register only in each transaction, or and in other associations you have to register yourself yearly. Okay, so for example, last year when I was working in World in Motion in the sports agency in London, I needed to register an agent in USA. So I called USA saying, let me explain the situation. This agent, he did not have a representation contract with the player. He had a mandate, an authorization from the player's agents in order to act on his behalf to get a club for the player. So he went to the USA and got a player in the USA. But in the USA regulations, intermediary regulations, they needed to have a representation contract in order for the agents to be registered. And the agent didn't have any representation contract. He only had an authorization. So I called the USA body, and I said, "Oh, this is a situation. How do I deal with that?" And he said, "No, you can only register you when you have a transaction going on. So only if you have a commission agreement or a representation agreement. You cannot, in general, register yourself just with a mandate." Okay, so you have to. So we had to conclude a deal first, and then with the deal concluded, then we have to register ourselves when the transaction was done. So in each country is different. In one country, you can register yourself beforehand to get this security And in order to you have to have the transaction going on in order to register yourself. The costs in some countries, you don't have to pay anything to be registered, like Croatia, France, Russia. And in other countries, you have to pay more than 5,000 euros, sometimes more than 5,000 euros every year in order to work as an intermediary. Registration process, certificates, good character, extended proof of good conduct, and etc. Each country has their own registration process, their own requirements. Dual representation, FIFA accepts dual representation if you have the consent of all the parties, okay? But dual representation is forbidden in Bulgaria, France, Japan, Paraguay, Portugal, Russia. In all others, the dual representation, as in FIFA, they are accepted. In England and Romania, for example, they have more guarantees and transparency conditions in order to have a dual representation. Exclusivity is very common, as you know, in contracts, in representation contracts, that you establish that this representation contract is exclusive. When you sign with a player, the player signs and say, oh, this is my agent, this is my exclusive agent, and I will not sign with any other agent during this period, okay? In FIFA, FIFA doesn't say anything in their regulations in terms of exclusivity. In Germany, for example, it's prohibited to have exclusivity, okay? In Czech Republic, Italy, and Brazil, you have the exclusivity established in their regulations, and the intermediary cannot sign a representation contract with a player or a club that already has a representation contract signed with another intermediary. So the exclusivity clause is very well regulated here in Brazil, for example. The duration, FIFA does not establish any duration for the representation contract. So the national association, they have freedom to establish the maximum duration. In these countries, Croatia, Cyprus, England, Italy, Netherlands, Portugal, Russia, Spain, you have a maximum of 2 years of duration of the representation contract. In Brazil, Bulgaria, and Czech Republic, for example, you have a maximum of 3 years. And we have other countries that does not have limits or have a limit of 5 years, for example. In Brazil, we had a maximum of 2 years until last year, and this new year, we changed our regulations in order to include a maximum of 3 years of the representation contract. Capital Commission, back in 2015, what happened? The 3% established by FIFA was a recommendation, as I said, and was still recommended in 15 countries, in Denmark, England, Italy, Japan, Poland, etc. Still a recommendation. In other countries, you have 3% of mandatory cap and commission, like in Cyprus, in Paraguay, in Russia, Saudi Arabia, Serbia, UAE, okay? You have in Switzerland 5%, in Bulgaria 7%, 10% in Croatia, France, and Ukraine, 14% in Germany, and no cap at all in Argentina, Belgium, Czech Republic, Netherlands, Portugal, in other jurisdictions too, and some silent rules in Spain, for example. In terms of minors, FIFA said no remuneration. You can, if you're intermediary, you're acting for a club or a player, you cannot receive remuneration if the player involved is a minor, okay? So 17 out of the 32 of examined associations fully implemented the FIFA rules, like Argentina, Brazil, Netherlands, Russia, Spain, Japan, and Portugal. They also included in their regulations saying that transactions involving a minor cannot be remunerated. The agent cannot be remunerated. Okay. In England, they set even stricter rules in terms of minors. You have to go through a subcommittee in the FA in order to be able to sign, for example, to sign representation contracts with minors and to approach minors. In Czech Republic and Slovak, yes, you have remuneration for for intermediaries, even when a minor is involved. And the regulations are silent in Italy, but for amateurs, you cannot have any remunerations. Okay, and judges are in favor of remuneration if a minor has a professional contract in Germany. Here in Brazil, we have a situation in which you have this limitation by FIFA. You cannot be remunerated by if the player involved is a minor, and also you have the state laws establishing that if any contract signed by an agent with a player that is not only a minor but is also an amateur, this contract will be null and void. Okay, so if the player does not have a contract, a representation contract, a professional contract with a club, he cannot sign a representation contract with an agent. Okay, as I said, the system failed, and they started the consultation process. So FIFA started to after the consultation process, they started to disclose what are their main proposals. Okay, so FIFA said they will reintroduce the licensing system that will administrated by FIFA through a web-based examination. So the exams are back, okay, for the licensing. The commissions will pay via the clearinghouse that is being established by FIFA. Okay, I am very curious how this is going to work. To be honest, last year I went to a lot of congresses around the world, in Spain, in Portugal, in England, and I talked to some people how it's going to work, a clearinghouse. I understand in international big transfers, you pay the commission through the clearinghouse, but how that's going to work, for example, for the small agents that have the representation contract with their players, establishing 10% of the remuneration of the players as commission, and the agent that receives, for example, 100 euros per month. The player will have to pay to the clearinghouse of FIFA in order for the agents to receive 100 euros as commission. For me, it doesn't make much sense. It's a very small amount. So I want to see, I understand that FIFA wants financial transparency in the system, but I want to see how that's going to work, especially if you take into consideration the fees, the taxes, and the expenses for these transactions that is going to go to the clearinghouse and back to the agents. FIFA is also investing in professional courses, okay, because FIFA understand that for you to be an agent in football nowadays, you cannot be an amateur agent. You have to be professional. You have to understand the market. So you have to comply with some requirements, and you have to get constant education from the market in order to work in the football market. Okay. The license will again be only granted to natural persons. So legal persons are excluded. I don't know how that's going to work with when the agents includes their legal person in the contract. I don't know if FIFA will accept the jurisdiction or not. Let's see. And FIFA is also saying that they will limit the dual representation. They will say that the intermediary, the agent, is allowed to represent a player and an engaging club in the same time, but he will be prohibited to represent a player in the releasing club and the releasing club and the engaging club. Okay, because FIFA understands that the interests of the player and the releasing club and the engaging club are opposite. So there is a clear conflict of interest that should be prohibited. The dispute resolution system will be back to FIFA. FIFA will create a specific body, a specific committee to deal with agent matters, and that's amazing for the system. That's one of the things that made the biggest difference for the agents and the lawyers, that gave a big protection for the agents to have their commission respected. Okay, so FIFA will have again the sanctioning system for clubs, players, and agents, and the commission of the agent acting for the player will be mandatorily paid by the player himself. So, for example, in Premier League, for example, it's very common for the new club pay the commission of the player on behalf of the player. So that's not going to be able apparently to happen anymore. The player will have to pay the commissions directly to the agents. And finally, the most criticized implementation of the FIFA proposals, all the others were well accepted to some extent by the market, by the whole market, but this one was the most criticized. There was a cap on the agent's fees. Okay, FIFA said that will limit the commission of the agents in 10% of the transfer fee when the agent is representing the releasing club, in 3% of the player's remuneration when the agent is representing the player, and 3% of the player's remuneration when representing the engaging club. And as I said, the agent will be able to represent both the player and the engaging club, so they can receive like 6% of commission on the player's remuneration. Okay, so of course that was very criticized by the market, especially by the agents. Okay, because FIFA is again legislating by exception. Okay? FIFA is, unfortunately, they think that Europe is the reality of football, but of course it's not. FIFA understands, considers that.
I did.
Oh, somebody has. Want to? Okay, I will proceed then. FIFA understand that big agents like Jordan Mendes and Mino Raiola, they are the reality of the market. So they take these cases that, of course, they are the exception. They are less than 1% of the market, but they take these cases, show you in your faces and say, look how much this agent is receiving. Look how much they are taking away from the football family. And they use this argumentation, this narrative to convince the market that they are doing a good thing to football. But in my opinion, I don't know what you guys think, but in my opinion, they are taking the exception and they are legislating, they are setting forth regulations based on the exception, and that's not right. Not only that, there was a lot of tension before FIFA disclosed what would be the cap and commission. They said like for more than 1 year now there would be a cap and commission, but then when they said, of course, the market said, but that doesn't make any sense. This is clear, disproportionate, and illegitimate in terms of market deals. Okay. And there was also a critic on the differentiation of remuneration depending on which party the agent represents. Okay. In my last year, I wrote an article in Lex Sportiva about the cap and commissions. Okay. And in this article, I analyzed why the cap and commissions will not be good for the market, will bring a negative impact in the market, because FIFA thinks that when you establish this cap and commission, you're gonna get players, agents to receive less money, to represent less parties, to be less involved in transfers. But what they're doing actually is giving more power to the big agents and less power to the small agents. Why? This is a statistic that I took from the FIFA TMS report that says that the average commission of an agent tends to be lower when the transfer fees are high. Okay, so if you take the small transfers, the transfers with the transfer fee less than $1 million. If you compare these negotiations, you will see that the agent, the average commission of an agent in these deals, the agent receives 16% of the total amount of this transfer fee. Okay, while in the big transfers of the greater than $5 million, the agents receive more or less 5% of this amount of transfer fee as commission. So what does this number show to us? That the small agents that deal with small transfers, they need to have a higher amount of percentage on their commission in order to be remunerated for their services. While the big agents, they are more or less okay with a small percentage of 5%, for example, in order to have their services duly remunerated. Okay, so what does that generate? When you establish a commission, a cap on commission, that is a percentage that's equal to every party, even in small transfers or in big transfers, you're limiting the small agents. So what's going to happen? You're going to create an oligopoly in the market. You're going to push away the small agents, the small and medium agents, and you're going to give more power to these big agents that were more or less already okay with a small percentage of commission in comparison to the transfers. Okay, and also besides the oligopoly, you're going to create a culture more than what we already have today of accessory contracts. Okay, what is that? As I told you, to FIFA, to the scope of FIFA, regulations, the agent is the one that negotiates an employment contract and a transfer agreement between two parties. Okay, but most of the agents, they provide more services than that for their clients. So you can sign accessory contracts in order to receive more amounts in order to be duly remunerated for their commission. So FIFA is actually incentivizing the kind of a black market of contracts that will not be reported to FIFA. So agents will start to sign scouting agreements, image rights agreements, provision of marketing services, provision of legal services between agents and the player in order to be remunerated for their services, but not to be given the title of a commission per se. So you see that you're going to create a black market if you establish a cap and commission that is artificial, because when a club or a player is willing to pay X for the services of an agent, they will pay X for the service of the agent. And the agent will do something in order to be remunerated for the services. So even with a cap and commission, you're going to give more power to big agents, and also you're going to create a black market. That's why, in my opinion, the cap and commission is not going to work. The FA agents, they send a letter to FIFA right after the FIFA established that they're going to put a cap and commission in the next regulations, saying football is a free market where there are no caps on transfer fees or player salaries. So why should there be any cap on agent fees? And that makes a lot of sense, in my opinion. So you don't have any cap on the transfer fees. You don't have any cap on player salaries, but you're giving a cap to the agents. Why is that? It doesn't make any sense. The question of commission should be between the agent and the player when the representation contract is signed, and between the agent and the club when a transfer is being negotiated. So any other course of conduct is anti-competitive and unlawful and will be challenged before the competent courts. And limiting the agent fees to come only from the player will create an anarchy in a black economy within football, and that will destroy any hope of real transparency and actually indirectly drive up costs to clubs. So what's gonna happen next? Consultation process actually started in January and April 2020. The drafting and consultation process of the regulations went between May and September. Now the drafts of the regulations have to be approved by the FIFA Council until March 2021, and the new regulations ages will be enforced in September 2021. Okay. So, conclusion of this first topic: the proposed rules shall be necessary and proportionate to achieve the objective pursued by the RSCP. Most of the proposed amendments point towards the correct direction. However, the potential cap on the agent fees and limits on dual representation still need to be determined to see whether they are excessive or not. Okay, and the system of enforcement, in terms of dispute, are very needed to the market. Okay, so this is the first topic of agents. I want to ask you guys if you have any questions, or if I can proceed to the next topic. If not, I will proceed. Guys, feel free to ask, to interrupt me. There's no problem at all. This is a chat. I want to hear your opinion on the subject too. Let's move forward. I'm going to talk very briefly about minors, loans, and payments to training clubs in terms of FIFA rules. Okay, minors. Minors, they are regulated in Article 19 of the FIFA RSTP. And the general rules in terms of minors is that international transfers of players are only permitted if the player is over the age of 18. So if the player has less than 18 years old, he cannot be internationally transferred. Okay, international transfers are deemed in FIFA as the transfer of a registration between two different associations. Okay, so this is the general rule, but we have a lot of exceptions in Article 19 in terms of minors, in order to be allowed a minor to be registered in another association. Okay, the first exception is when the player's parents move to the country. That's there's a question on the chat. Feel free to interrupt me if you have any questions. The first exception is when the player's parents move to the country in which the new club is located for reasons not linked to football. Okay, so this is the first exception. Do you guys can see any way that this exception can be used to circumvent the regulations? Because I'm not gonna say this in order to incentivize any club to do that, but I have to say what happens in the market. So what happens is that big clubs, they are very interested in minors, to sign minors from other countries. What do? They manage to offer a job to the players' parents, not a job within the club. Okay, you have to offer a job that's not linked to football. So you ask somebody in your country to offer for the players' parents, so the players' parents can move to the country of the club for matters not linked to football, in order to register the player in their club. So they will use this exception to sign a minor. Okay, this method is, of course, I'm not incentivizing that, but it is very risky too, because you have to go to the in order to get approval to that, you have to go to the subcommittee of FIFA Player Status Committee in order to get approval to proceed with the registration of the player, and you have to prove that the parents they moved to the new country for reasons not linked to football. Okay. The second exception is a transfer that takes place within the territory of the European Union, and the player is aged between 16 and 18 years old. Okay, so that's a point that I criticize the most in terms of exceptions, because okay, this exception, what this exception says to us. So if the player is registered, is a minor, he's 16 years old, he's registered in England, he can transfer himself to Italy freely because they are within the European Union. But not only that, in cast jurisprudence, for example, we have jurisprudence saying that even if the player is in Argentina, for example, and he has a European passport, he can, with 16 years old, be registered with a European club. Okay. So I have an interesting case that happened to me last year. At the end of last year, I was working in the sports agency, World Emotion, and one of the agents asked me to verify the situation of two players in Brazil. Two players that were playing in the youth national squad of Brazil under 17 years old. Okay, both players, they were 15 years old, almost reaching 16 years old, and he wanted me to verify on them if they had if one of them had a European passport, because Manchester United was interested in signing the players. Okay, so if the players had an European passport, what would happen? They were 15 years old, so in accordance with the national law in Brazil, they were not able to sign a professional contract yet with a Brazilian club, so they could leave freely the Brazilian club to sign with Manchester United when they reached 16 years old. The previous club would only receive training compensation. The Manchester United would not need to pay any transfer fee or any compensation for the previous club, and that's it. Okay, so why do I criticize that exception so much? Because the regulation says specifically about European Union. But why not? Why can't a player be transferred from Brazil to Argentina with 16 years old if he has an Argentinian passport? For me, it doesn't make any sense. What does make the Europe more important than South America or more important than Africa? Why can't a player with 16 years old be transferred from Nigeria to Ghana? For me, it doesn't make any sense when you limit only to European Union. That's why I always say that for us in South America, in Africa, we have to unite our forces in order to get our voices heard by FIFA, in order to change this kind of stuff, in order to benefit our interests too. Okay. Another exception is when the players live no further than 50 kilometers from a national border, and the club with which the player wishes to be registered in the neighboring association is also within 50 kilometers of their border. So if the player lives in a place that is 100 kilometers away from the club, is okay to be transferred to another association. Another exception, this exception, I have to applaud FIFA. We have to be fair here. FIFA just included this on their regulations, this exception, that the player that flees his country of origin for humanitarian reasons, to protect their life or freedom, they are being threatened in their country, they are they have to pass through the approval of the subcommittee of FIFA. But when you have humanitarian reasons, you can be transferred to another club in another association. Okay, so in this one, FIFA got it right. I applaud this implementation by FIFA. Another exception is when the player is a student and moves without his parents to another country temporarily for academic reasons in order to undertake an exchange program. That registration cannot exceed 1 year, and the club has to be amateur club and not a professional club. Okay, and finally, when the player is domiciled in the country for 5 years or more and has never been registered with the club in their country of origin, he will be able to register with new club. All of these exceptions are subject to the approval of the subcommittee appointed by the Players Status Committee in order to be duly registered with the new association. And if you don't comply with these regulations, will be imposed sanctions by the FIFA Disciplinary Committee. Now let's talk about loan transfers. Very briefly, the relevant aspects of the FIFA loan transfers, they have to occur with a written agreement between the player and the clubs concerned. The original employment contract is suspended. As you know, the player will have 2 contracts with more or less the same duration, with overlapping durations there. But of course, you cannot have 2 employment contracts with 2 different clubs at the same time. So the original employment contract of the previous club is suspended during the period of the loan. Okay. So the loan of amateurs is not possible. You can only loan professional players. The loanee, the player that's loaning the player, cannot, the club that's loaning the player cannot transfer the player to a third club without a written, the player that's receiving the player from in loan from the previous club cannot transfer the player to a third club without the written authorization that the club that loaned him at the first place. Okay, they need a written authorization to transfer him to another club. And basically, the loan transfers, the rules that apply to loan transfers are the same rules that apply to permanent transfers. So FIFA does not differentiate this kind of transfers. Okay, so solidarity mechanism and training compensation, they apply for both loan transfers and permanent transfers. In the loan transfers, for example, if you're talking about the international dimension transfer, the ITC, the International Transfer Certificate, may be delivered in case of international loan. Okay, this is an interesting case that happened in 2014. This Courtois case. I don't know if you guys remember in the UEFA Champions League 2013-2014 finals, Chelsea would play against Atletico Madrid. And what happened in that case? Goalkeeper of Atletico Madrid, but he was loaned from Chelsea to Atletico de Madrid. So Chelsea was a parent club of Courtois. And in their contract, in the transfer agreement between them, in the loan agreement between them, Chelsea established that if eventually the clubs play one against the other in the European competition, that Atletico de Madrid would have to pay a compensation of 2.5 million pounds for each match they played against each other. Okay, so when that arose, there was a big discussion in the football legal world, saying that is that an interference, an influence, an undue influence on the club's decision? Is that happening or not? Chelsea says that no, there's no undue influence in that case, because we're not prohibiting him to play. We're only establishing an amount to be paid in case he plays. That's it. But then there was a UEFA statement saying that in this case, when they exert or attempt to exert any influence whatsoever over the players that another club may or may not field in a match is an undue influence, is an undue interference, and does not comply with UEFA regulations. So the clause would be null, void, and unenforceable. But that was a UEFA statement. There was no decision in that case, an official decision from a jurisdictional body about this, okay? But UEFA statement said that the clause would be null and void, so Courtois could play the match without any financial consequence to Atletico Madrid. But either way, Atletico thought that it would be better for them not to field Courtois, so they played with their reserve goalkeeper in order to avoid any disputes. Now, solidarity mechanism. I am pretty sure you guys know more or less what is that. Basically, in every transfer, in every onerous transfer, so in every transfer worldwide, international transfers, not only international transfer, I will speak later, but in every transfer, 5% of the transfer fee of this transfer during the player's whole career shall be distributed to the training clubs of the player when the player was between the ages of 12 and 23 years old. Okay, so during the whole player's career, so if he's 35 years old, he's transferred to another club with a transfer fee, 5% of this transfer fee shall be distributed between the training clubs of the player between the age of 12 and 23 years old. Okay, so this transfer has to have international dimension, so that shall be a transfer between clubs from different associations, or now this is a new inclusion from in the FIFA regulations that was included this year, saying that transfers within the same association will apply the solidarity mechanisms of FIFA RSCP if the training club is from a different association. So, for example, my team here in Brazil is Vasco da Gama. We had a very good player called Douglas Luiz that was transferring back in 2017 to Manchester City. And last year, Douglas Luiz was transferred from Manchester City to Aston Villa for a big amount of money, and Vasco would receive a big percentage of this transfer fee, and would be awesome. However, FIFA did not include the second part of the regulations, saying that if the transfer occurs within the same association, so Manchester City and Aston Villa are from the FA, and Vasco is from another association, so Vasco would be able to claim for solidarity mechanism in that case. However, this was not included in FIFA regulations last year, so Vasco was not able to claim for this compensation. Okay, solidarity mechanism also applies to loan or permanent transfers, and the responsibility is for the new club of the player to distribute the 5% of solidarity mechanism to the training clubs. Okay. The claims, if any club does not pay solidarity mechanism, the claims will go through the FIFA TMS. Training compensation is a little bit more complicated because we have a lot of exceptions, but basically the rationale behind the training compensation is that the costs that the training club of the player incur during the training and education of the player will have to be paid by the new club of the player. Okay, the calculation is between 12 and 21 years old of the player, and is due when, in two cases. One, when the player is registered for the first time as a professional. For example, I'm Vasco da Gama. I have a player since he has 10 years old here in Vasco. He plays here until he's 16 years old, until he's like 16 or 18 years old. When he reaches 18 years old, he goes to Portugal and signs his first professional contract with a Portuguese club. In that case, Vasco will have to go before FIFA to claim for training compensation from this new Portuguese club, okay? And the second occasion is when a professional player is transferred between the clubs of two different associations before the end of the season of his 23rd birthday, okay? So if the player that went to Portugal transferred himself before he's 23 years old to another club, the previous club can claim training compensation, okay? So training compensation is due until the player is 23 years old, while the solidarity mechanism is due during the whole career of the player, okay? So when the player is transferred with 30 years old for a transfer fee, the clubs that train the player between 12 and 23 years old will be rewarded for his education, okay? Training compensation is not due when the former club terminates the contract without just cause. When the player is transferred to a category 4 club, FIFA always publishes in the FIFA TMS the category of each club in the world to see in terms of training compensation what they will have to pay for the training reward of the previous club, okay? Or if the player reacquires amateur status, okay? And the responsibility to distribute the training compensation is of the new club, and claims will also go through the FIFA TMS, okay? Guys, thank you very much for the invitation. If you guys have any question, please feel free to ask me, to send me an email, and I'm at your disposal.
Thank you, Udo. It's been a wonderful time listening to this section. I have some questions here. Are you hearing me? Hello.
Hear you.
Udo?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
You hear
It's
me?
been a wonderful section. Yeah, clearly. I have some questions here. Number one, with FIFA newly regulations, does that mean the current registered intermediaries will re-register again? Udo?
No. The registered intermediaries under the 2015 regulations will not be considered registered again. Okay, you have to go through the exam in order to be licensed within the new system. However, the agents that were already licensed before the 2015, they will not don't need to go through the exam again, since they were already licensed back in 2008, 2009, 2010, and etc. until 2014. They will not need to go through a new licensing process again. But they will have to comply with the education courses and all other stuff that FIFA will require.
What about those that registered this year? We have some new registered intermediaries in Nigeria this year. Yeah. So are they going to re-register again?
Yeah. You have to go to FIFA. FIFA will establish what's going to be the next steps to be taken. Probably they will still maintain the registration of, for example, Nigeria. You have the intermediaries within your country. They will be able to provide service within their country. But if they want to provide service worldwide, they will have to be registered in FIFA. Okay, so FIFA, we don't have any much answers in that case, but FIFA will establish when the new regulations are publicized, they will say what's going to be the procedure in order to register the new agents.
All right, thank you. Another question. Can an intermediary be remunerated in a transfer involving a minor? Let's say international transfer involving a minor.
So you have to check the first of all, you have to check from who you're going to be paid. Okay, you have to check who's going to pay commission. If it's the player, for example, you have to check the national law of the where the player is based on. If it's the club, you have to check the national law of where the club is based on. Okay, so for example, in Brazil, if a player is transferred from Brazil, and the new club here in Brazil has to pay the intermediary. If the player involved is a minor, he cannot receive, because we have strict in our regulations that they cannot be remunerated. Okay, so in order to answer your question, you have to see the specific association. You have to see if the specific association has rules in terms of limitation of remuneration when the player involved is a minor.
Okay, and lastly, can a club who is not captured on TMS claim a training mechanism compensation on its player?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
A club that is not captured on TMS, can such club claim a training compensation from the buying club?
Yeah, first you have this club, if they have a claim to go to TMS, they have to ask for the association to give them access to prove that you're a club, etc., and to give you access to register yourself within the FIFA TMS system. Then you're going to have your own account in order to claim for solidarity and training compensation. Okay, but there are some cases if you say the club is very amateur, the club doesn't know anything, they don't know how to claim solidarity and etc. Sometimes the association of the club can claim solidarity and training compensation on behalf of this club that doesn't have any access to the FIFA TMS. Okay, that is a more difficult situation. So if you ask for my advice, I would say that you ask for the association to give you access to register the club within the FIFA TMS in order to claim solidarity and training compensation. If that's not possible, then you ask the new association to claim on behalf of the club.
Okay, there is a question directly to you, Brian. Easy. One of our listener, one of our participants here, he said, I have a player under my management and set to travel for trials next year to Spain. Does this mean my current intermediary certification obtained here in Nigeria wouldn't cover him? Hello?
It depends on from who you're going to receive your commission. Okay, the first thing that you have is, are you hearing me? Can you hear me? I think your internet, Michael, is kind of delaying a little bit. Maybe you're not hearing me because of that.
I'm hearing you.
Good. So the first thing that you have to observe is who is paying commission to you. Okay. So if you're bringing a player to go to trials in Spain, first of all, you have to check if the player is over 18 years old, or if he complies with the exceptions of minors set by FIFA. Okay. If he's over 18 years old, okay, then you go to the trials. If the player signs with the Spanish club, okay. If the Spanish club is the one that is going to pay you, you have to register yourself in Spain. Okay, that's why I criticize so much this system, because you limit the intermediary a lot when you say, okay, you have to be registered in every country you're gonna receive commission from. So it's unbelievable. sometimes you're gonna be required to pay a lot of costs in order to be registered. So you're gonna pay a lot in order to make some deals, one deal maybe, and for me it doesn't make any sense. But in that case, if you're gonna get paid by the Spanish club, you have to, unfortunately, to be registered in Spain too.
Okay. I hope you are clear, Mr. Easy. Another question from Ibrahim Swarao. Hi, Mr. Sekealma. For new intermediaries, how do we contact FIFA to get registered?
Okay, so under the regulations in force right now, is the 2015 intermediary regulations. Okay, and as I said, FIFA established the minimum requirements for the associations worldwide to set their own to set their own regulations. So if you're intermediary, you have to go to the association concerned in order to get registered in the association concerned. It doesn't involve FIFA anymore. Okay, nowadays. Okay, now before the new regulations, after the new regulations, then we'll be we're gonna see how is the registration process. But nowadays, if you want to get registered in Nigeria, or if you want to get registered in Spain, you have to go to the check in the Spain regulations, in the Nigeria regulations, to see the procedure to get registered.
All right. Any more questions? Charles, Emmanuel, Joshua? Charles.
Uh, um, um, Good day, everyone. I'm just listening. I'm kind of trying to get more insight on. I joined late, so I don't think I have any question. I'm okay. I'm good.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah.
Anybody else before we proceed? Anyway, in the absence of question, I want to appreciate your time, Udo. If there is any more question, I will email them to you. So, and I'm sure you will get across the answer to me. So I want to appreciate your time. How is Marcos Motta in Brazil? You should send my regard, just my regards to him, that we miss him. Next time we want to see him on there. Thank you. If you still have time, you can be with us for the next section. The next section is just an hour. It's going to be Endurance of the media will take us through the domestic laws in Nigeria. So I think that's what we are going to take on. So thank you once again, Ludo. So be our guest.
Thank you.
Yeah, be our
Thank
guest.
you very much, Michael. Thank you very much for the invitation. As I said, I always like these invitations, especially from Africa, from South America, because usually the events that we go to, the congresses and stuff, they always are organized by European people, and they're always very nice, but they are as I said, the FIFA regulations are very Eurocentric. They are focused to benefit European clubs. So for us in South America, in Africa, we are big export markets in football. We have to have our needs heard too. So it's very important to discuss these matters, to debate, to chat with people about this kind of stuff. So guys, please feel free to, if you have any more questions, you have my email. You will not bother me at all. Feel free to ask questions and tell me if you guys ever come to Brazil. Please let me know.
Okay, no problem. Let me ask you this. If you are to advise FIFA on the intermediaries, on the newly intermediaries regulation, especially on the caps FIFA want to put on the intermediaries regulation and remuneration? What would be your advice to FIFA?
Don't put any cap, because if you put a cap, the agents, the European Association of Agents, for example, they already said if you put a cap as soon as the regulations come out and you establish a cap, a hard cap that you're not gonna give us the opportunity to negotiate our own commission, we're gonna go to European courts in order to challenge these FIFA regulations. So if FIFA really impose a cap, there will be some big challenges, big fights, legal fights in European courts in order to FIFA to change this decision. Okay, so as I said, if FIFA is trying to give a remedy to the matter of agents, but instead they're creating a new disease. Okay, because they will push away the small agents, they will create an oligopoly of big agents in the market, and you're going to create a black market of accessory contracts. Wow. That's my opinion.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, Eddie, your turn. Anyway, I think we have to go on a 5-minute break for now. Just 5 minutes.
I will leave you guys now.
Okay.
I just shared my email here in the chat. Feel free to contact me. Thank you again for the kind invitation, Michael, and hope to see you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Hudo. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, a 5 minute
Thank you,
break.
though. Yeah.
Bros, how many minutes break? Hello, bros.
Yeah, I said 5 minutes break.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, see you soon. Yeah.
taken time to highlight some of the things I would have said. So, but I'll just have to go a little bit more detailed so that we have a better understanding. So, first I want to say is that as intermediaries, we should understand our roles and distinct from coaches, from club owners, and other officials that are involved in a football club. So I know during those teaching, it took time to define what an intermediary is. So I'm just trying to break it down. Once again, I'm apologizing. I had a sector for a PowerPoint presentation for this, but unfortunately, my laptop crashed some days back. So I've told Mike I will get them in a document and make sure each of the guest
I can share it for you. I
participants
can share it here.
gets a copy. So hello.
Hello, I
Hope I'm
can.
still clear.
Yeah, I can share it for you here
Hello everyone. Hope I'm still clear. Okay,
clearly.
perfect.
Yes,
So
yes, yeah.
okay, perfect. So okay. All right. That's just like a backup. I wanted us to send maybe after the teaching, talking about the league rules as it relates to Nigeria. I will be using the MPFL as a case study. So their most recent frameworks and rules is something that I've already sent to Mike. I believe he will also share it. But just that I cannot be picking the pages one after the other. But I will just summarize some part of it. Then I will now go to some how some other FAs in other countries how they register their intermediary. I know Sekealma touched it, but I will have to go a little bit details into it. So, for example, now as an intermediary, especially a league where you have your players, it's very important for you to, if possible, for you to have the rules as it relate to playing ball in that particular countries. In a scenario now, for example, some of us that have players in Nigeria, you should have at least the rules guiding the league in the particular division your player is playing, so that by the time there is dispute or there is one issue or the other, you can actually see how you resolve it or maneuver your way out of it in line with the already existing rules in that particular league. So it's very, very important. By the end of this my section, I may likely recommend some textbooks or some books for us, because one thing is that you are, as an expert, you have made of what is inside of you, so it's what you read that can actually determine what you give out. So at the end of the lecture today, I recommend about one or two books I'll pitch to you to try and get them, because reading them will broaden your knowledge about this business. So back to the league rules in Nigeria. It's expected that as an intermediary, you are not supposed to be one of the club officials of the clubs, maybe a TM or a coach or a manager, or a manager or anybody that is involved in the coaching team. So you have to be very, very okay. So you have to be very, very careful, because as I speak to you, we've actually seen cases whereby there are a lot of club owners, even in Nigeria, that are also registered as football intermediaries with the NFF. So that is absolutely wrong. And it's just like it will bring about conflict of interest. So if you just want to be a club owner, you can. But also, I can still tell you there's a lean way also. For example, as an intermediary, you still have passion to own a club. You can actually set up a football club and have your spouse, your father, your mother as the chairman. All documents relating to that club should never bear your names. Okay, so with that, you can actually do your business and still pursue your passion of club management. So it's very important for us to understand this, because a lot of people are actually people have actually flaunted the rules, and at the end, some money they ought to earn, they've lost at both ends. So if you want to be a manager, a team manager, if you want to be a coach, you just have to concentrate on that particular aspect. Now, for our domestic show that most of the articles are actually cut out of the regulation on status and transfer of player, which I shared with Mike yesterday that should share with us, because we should be more concerned about the activities of our player, which is our client. So from the league rules, our concentration as intermediary, especially in Nigeria, should be on the Form 7, the MPFL Form 7. That Form 7 is it concerns the standard players contracts, talking about the applicable articles that relate to engaging of the football player by a Nigerian club. So Form 7 is one thing I want you to take note of. When Mike send it to you, instead of going through some other parts, just try and locate yourself to the NPFL Form 7. That's the most important thing you need to study as relates to the NPFL in Nigeria. Then for coaches also, because as an intermediary, you also represent coaches. So as I said yesterday, I digress a little bit to make us understand that we also represent clubs and the rest. So recently, even FIFA, though they will confirm, they were sent to it when the FIFA Council meets later. There is a new regulation guiding coaching, so for their job to be more secure. Now, for instance, today is Thursday. Okay, on Monday precisely, I have a client, Samson Manuel. I know some of you will know the coach. He's a former Imba coach, and he was one of the national teams some time ago. So there is a club in Abakaliki. They actually wanted his services. So they called him and he informed me. I said, you should go ahead and meet them. He met them, and after discussion and all that, I now took over the discussion. I now called the club owner. I now asked, please, we have the copy of the contract you are offering him, so that we can at least review and review to see how we are protected. You know, the man told me straight up that all the while he has been engaging coaches in his club, that he had never signed a document engaging any coach. He said just a word of mouth understanding that in case the coach have a better offer, the coach can leave. In case maybe they don't like the coach can just leave. I said, this is not possible so long I'm involved with this deal. For my profile and also for the coach stability, I wouldn't want to be involved in a coach that will be engaged in a word of mouth. So, and that is how the deal fell through. I was discussing with the chairman. He just have to block me on WhatsApp. Nigeria, I know people are getting away with it. You understand? But you as an intermediary, you need to draw a boundary. At least you should have something like a standard that everybody will know. Okay, if I'm dealing with this fellow, I know he will make sure that the rules and everything are upheld to the end. So there is no form of compromise or any form of low standard. So with that, I actually informed the coach that with what this man is saying, I'm not sure he can work there, because, for example, he might just wake up on the wrong side of his bed and say, "Coach, please, I don't." So that is how that fell through. So you can see here now, like the scenario I highlighted, a lot of things go wrong in Nigeria, and people are getting away with it. But by the time you understand these rules as relate to players, as relate to coaches, as relate to clubs, when there are disputes, you can easily enact or enforce some of these existing rules. So now, for Nigeria precisely, for the intermediaries, there is also a cap. So most of us are not working with the cap. We have to be honest. I remember Udo was saying 3%, but all through his time he has been preparing a representation contract. Nobody have actually adopted the 3%. Majorly is between 10 to 5%. So the cap in Nigeria is 5% for us, as that's one of the domestic laws in Nigeria. The cap for intermediary is maximum of 5%. But for some time now, I know a lot of us that are intermediary will still go for the 10% because we carry the expenses of these players, and though it's not even enough, but that is the maximum we take. So in Nigeria for now, that is what we take as one of the earnings for our intermediaries. So now I'll quickly go to registering as an agent. Can you still hear me? Hello. Hope we are together.
Eddie, we are together. We are together.
We can hear you. Yeah, can hear you.
Clear, I can hear you.
Okay, so perfect. So I'll go quickly to registering as an agent. Udo actually took time to explain the
Sorry, please.
2000.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Hello. Sorry, please. That particular part of you Nigerian
Hello.
agents is you said something percent. Hello, can you
You
hear
said
me?
what? Yes. Okay.
You
Come with the
said
question again.
Nigerian agents.
Yes.
Yeah, you said Nigerian agent only gets something in
Okay.
commission. You're talking about the percentage about.
Okay, I said in our regulation, in our domestic regulation for Nigeria agent, the maximum they actually said we should collect is 5%. Okay, but I tell you, in reality, most of us is. Okay, I said our regulation as related to our agents in Nigeria is expected that the earnings will be 5% of the total gross salary of the player. But in most cases, most of us intermediary will collect 10%. Do you get it now? Hello.
Yes, you get.
All right. So let me go ahead. So now the whole stuff is about how the agents stuff can be organized in a way, and everybody will be happy about it. So I'll quickly go to registering as an agent in other countries. Like for example, in the England FA, the process to become a licensed agent in England is very easy. All is required is that you pay an initial deposit of £500, and every year you're paying £250, and a proof that you don't have any criminal record, which is also obtainable in Nigeria. So you will need to be paying those amounts annually, even though you do business or not, you are certainly going to pay that amount. Udo was making mention of registration in the US, and he took time to explain that it's only when a deal is about to happen that is when an agent can be registered. So many of the countries, they have their individual or different requirements in setting up the regulations. So I've mentioned about England. FA is 500,000 as you are joining, and £500 as you are joining, and £215 as you are registering. Then in the Germany DFB, which is a Dutch football bond, register as an agent under the guidelines of the DFB is simple, you know, but there are levels, there are different levels. You know, a basic intermediary is different from the one that is a lawyer. So there are about 3 levels in Germany of intermediary. You understand? So you need to pay also about 500 euro as you are registering. Then an invoice will be given to you from the German FA accountancy department. And also you will sign that you don't have any contractual ties with any other association. So you can see here in the German FA, you cannot be a dual intermediary. You know, somehow you can not be an intermediary in Nigeria and also be an intermediary in Germany. That is how they do it. So that is why in most cases, maybe you are dealing with a club in Germany and you're already registered in Nigeria. You cannot forfeit your registration in Nigeria because of just that particular deal. So you may now have to look for an agent in the German league and or the German FA that you can trust. So somehow they are forcing the member club to endeavor that their funds are retained in their country. So which is very good. Like some countries, for you to represent their player, you must be registered domestically in their own FA. So, but in Nigeria, anybody can just come move a player, and some of these are agents are not protected. I can tell you, there are some agents that have been registered in Nigeria for close to 5-6 years. They've not done any business. Though some of them are lazy, but some of the regulations are not really favoring them. If it's mandatory that for you to represent, especially a domestic player from Nigeria, it must be with a Nigeria agent or with an agent that is registered in Nigeria. You see that there will be a lot of collaboration with some of these foreign agents to collaborate with us. And even though we don't know everyone, but there will be a time, maybe a particular player that is a bit related to us, maybe in the front burner of a purchase. So at that instance, we can actually say, okay, good. We now have the opportunity to really hone our skills in the business of football intermediary. Now, quickly, let me also go to a summary of how it is being done in the French Football Federation. In the French Football Federation, actually, there's a rules they updated in 2011. In 2011, there are now 2 principal examinations you must write. You know, FIFA changing that you just need to register for you to be an intermediary. But in the French Football Federation, you still need to write exams before you are qualified as an intermediary. You know, you take each of them are containing, each of the exam contain 20 questions for you to answer. And the first exam tests your legal knowledge about the regulations, talking about the FIFA regulation as working with players, working with intermediary, and also the domestic tax regulation of France. So with that, you if you pass those 2 exams, then you can be on your way to becoming a registered intermediary in French. So, and in France, sorry. And also, it also includes some more practical questions. At the end, the second exam is more specific. It talks about football in general, and candidates are questioned on football rules and regulation in France as well as internationally. So I will give a pause here because I really don't want to give it too much load. I'll give a pause here to attend to some questions before I now move to how it is also operated in some other countries. Thank you.
Is there anyone with questions from the house? Unmute yourselves, Charles.
Good afternoon, everyone. Bro, I greet you. There's something you mentioned while you are deliberating, which is getting getting registered in the UK. You mentioned about the money and stuff. Or I want to be more. I want to get enlightened more about it. Can one register as an intermediary in the UK without having their papers? Hello?
Okay, perfect. I heard you clearly. I heard you very well. Okay, now, for now, with the information I have, you must be resident there because there will be a document you will provide, a document that you don't have a criminal record in the UK. So it's only a resident of the UK that can provide a document that does not have a criminal record in that country. Okay. You understand? So that is a very key document that you cannot get just like an international person. You cannot get that document on your own. You must have resided there and before you can process it. Even in Nigeria, one of the requirements too is our police character report. Report telling a report telling you the official that, oh, this person does not have any record of criminality, which is being issued by the police force, as we all know. So that is it basically for Nigeria. And talking about the field, Nigeria, honestly, I've actually made inquiry. I've made inquiry in other countries. Nigeria is one of the most easiest, honestly. We just pay a sum of 300,000, which is less than $1,000, and that is all. You can operate free will. And in most of the other countries, after the payment, there is an annual fee you pay on a yearly basis. And they also issue a form of an ID card that you use to operate. So by the time that ID card, if you don't pay your annual fee, you will not be given a new ID card for you to operate in the next season. So that is how it is in some countries. But in Nigeria, after registration, you just pay the sum of 300,000, and with that, you can work on. So just as Udo said, maybe after the FIFA new regulation with working in intermediary, it might actually change it because FIFA is looking in a way that they can actually manage all our affairs centrally. They can, because for now, a lot of countries, they have their own way and their own pattern. Some of the regulations that have been adopted in some countries are not being adopted in other countries. So now, let me quickly continue on some of the conditions. I'm very sure. Is there any other question?
Yeah, there is one.
Okay.
Okay, the question is from Eze. Hello, please, do you have info about registration in Spain?
Okay, I was coming to that. I just ended in France. I will still talk to us on Spain, Italy, Portugal, Netherlands, the United States, Australia, Turkey, and let me check my notes. I think those are the ones I have for now. But I will talk about Spain. Now, for Spain, the enrollment process in Spain is vastly different to the other leagues. Firstly, an applicant must submit a written application to the General Secretariat of the Spain Football Federation. And it's only when this application is accepted that the candidate will now be summoned for an interview. Most time, the interview is conducted just like as we are having this Zoom meeting. That is how the interview is conducted. So after passing the interview, the rest is just for you to still pay your fee and also submit a document highlighting that you don't have any record of criminal records. Then also you need to sign their code of conduct forms to be sure that you abide with all their rules and regulations in Spain. So you see here now is different. This one you first of all apply, meaning if the General Secretary do not like your face or do not like your name, for example, let me use Nigeria setting. Sometimes they will say I don't just like this name, so I will not approve it. So the General Secretary of the Spanish Football Federation, who is the real Federation Espanol de España, who's RFEF, he might just decide that he will not what? He will not approve your application. And if your application is not approved, you will not have opportunity to go for that interview, because it's only when you pass that interview you will not be informed and given the process to come and pay the fees that is required, and also other processes for it to be completed. So you see the difference here. I think for me, this one is even better because you can have first-hand interaction with the prospective intermediary, and also to know if this person knows what he's doing. Because I tell you, I've actually interacted with some intermediary, and I'm not just saying it. With their manner of conversation, some of them really, they are not, it's not that I'm the one rating their qualification, but you know, there is a way you interact with someone. You know, this one is not really in it for the business. Some of them, they just look at it that by the time they register as intermediary, there is an assurance of a deal that will happen. They will just make millions and the rest. You need to work hard for it, you know. So some persons have this misconception in registering as intermediary. So I'm very sure if Nigeria introduced the same pattern, some persons may not really pass through the process of the first interview or even writing the application, let alone the video chat interview. So that is it for Spain. Now, let me go to Italy. Now, for Italy, the process is also similar to the rest. As I said, the process is similar, but it's not like the one on Spain. In Italy, the route to becoming a registered intermediary is simple, and it resembles the method of other association, you know. It's for you to also declare, there's a form they call Declaration of Professional Fairness. You know, one must not have committed sport fraud or have a criminal record in anywhere in Italy. So there is also a payment to the Italian FA that is valid for 1 year, after which it is required, if you want to be an intermediary again, you need to pass through the same process again. So it's like, their own is like a yearly thing. But if you're already an existing intermediary, there's what we call fast track process. You know, a fast track process is an intermediary that is already existing that will go through the registration process immediately. So for now, that is just how it is. A declaration of professional fairness. I think that's just the new aspect the Italia Football Federation, FIGC, introduced into their pattern. Therefore, for Portugal, the Portuguese body has implemented a straightforward process to become a registered intermediary. You know, along with other form of identification, you still need to, for you to become an intermediary, you need to send a proof of no criminal record. You know, why this criminal record is something that is almost in all the requirement by this country, is to be sure that the people that they are giving this responsibility, because it's something that money is involved and the rest, they don't have any record of criminality. So they want to be very sure that they are dealing with people who have clean records, and at least people, because the career of these players will be placed in their hands, people that can really stand for themselves. So, and also in Portugal, there is also a declaration of solvency, meaning a confirmation that you are well able to fund your business, so that it wouldn't be like, okay, there is need for something, you will say you don't have money or other stuff. So there is declaration of solvency and a confirmation of no other contract that could lead to conflict of interest. Like if you are already in a club management, you need to sign a form that you don't have any other contract with them anymore. In addition, the Portuguese Football Federation, it focuses more on the finances of the potential agent. You know, you need to have an insurance policy and a regularized stars situation, the association is keen on agent having a good reputation, which is frequently assessed. Most time they will check, okay, this man that have been registered as an intermediary, what is his status as at now? What is happening around him? So those are some of the things that will be checked always. So they need to be sure that this person have the capability and have the wherewithal to fund the business. Now, for the Netherlands, that's Holland, with regards to the system in Netherlands, you have to provide a signed intermediary statement along with other standard documents confirming your name and good character, maybe like international passport and the rest. Then the registration fee is determined by the Netherlands every February of the year. So it's not fixed like other countries. So this year they might say it is 100 euro. Next year they might decide it is 50 euros, depending on how they feel. And your intermediary license expires every year on the 31st of March yearly after you have registered. So if you like, register January when the new window have not started, it will expire the 31st of that same year. In order to become a valid agent, once again, you have to pay the renewal fee that will be set on a yearly basis. Now, for the United States of America, like the USS Federation, the registration process for becoming an agent in the United States is very similar to that in England. You need to complete an intermediary registration form and also pay a fee of $400, then a renewal fee of $50 every year. Also, they will carry out a background check on you on their own, and you must not be employed by FIFA or any other governing body or any national association. It offers pre-registration, which entitles you to the same benefits for example, you want to renew with increased efficiency in transfers and contracts. So what they do in the United States of America is when you are registered as their intermediary, they will carry out a background check on you to be sure that this person have an impeccable character and someone that can be trusted and given the responsibility of being an agent. So basically, in the United States, I think is one of the best, because with that kind of check, even though you pay the fee, they can say, okay, this person have this questionable character. Immediately, that particular license as an intermediary can be withdrawn before it brings the name of the association into disrepute. Now, for the Turkish Football Federation, the TFF, the Turkish Football Federation sets as its regulation of football agents known as manager in Turkey. They derived that word from manager, one of their words there. In June 2015, prior to this change, the Turkish applicant had to sit for an exam at just like other European nations, But under the new rules, an agent must be a natural person, so a company cannot register as an agent, though it's allowed in Nigeria, meaning, for example, Myron Sport now that I work for can register as an agent, and they can have 100 persons under them. They are not agents, but they can be working in the name of Myron Sport as the agent. But in Turkish Football Federation, you must be a natural person, maybe a male or female. A company cannot act as an agent. So though you may organize your work to be working as through a company, like just like me now, I'm a licensed intermediary, but most of my work I work through a company. I work for Myron Top Class Sport Outfit, but they are not agents. They are a sports agency, but they are not registered with the NFF as intermediary. So that is just for it. Now, Article 4 of the regulation of the Turkish Football Federation that you no longer have to be a Turkish citizen. You just have to have a legal place of residence or work permit to be legally registered. So this is in comparison with what Mr. Charles asked the other time. So for you to be an intermediary in Turkey, you must not be a citizen of Turkey. But if you have resident permit in Turkey, that is, you have documents to show that you can live in Turkey, you can register as their agent. Like in other nations, club officials, players, manager cannot be agents or be part of an agency. Now, individual must declare that they comply with the criteria of the test of good character for agent upon registration, and they must confirm that they continue to meet those criteria every time they carry out intermediary activity in relation to a transaction that is reiterated in the signed letter. You know, with that one, they can say, okay, truly, I'm not having any form of relationship with any other thing. So strictly, it's just for this football business. Now, let me go to the last one quickly. Australia Football Federation. Australia Football Federation. In Australia Football Federation, the process in Australia is somewhere similar to that of Germany. You can act as a valid intermediary in two different processes of registration. In two different processes of registration. So with that one, firstly, the more traditional is that of pre-lodgement. This method is in essence the same as getting registered in England. For example, due to harshness, it is simply you fill out the pre-lodgement form, you send the necessary document to the Australia Football Federation, and you pay a fee of about $250. Then, depending on when you sign up, you know, the fee also varies, you know. Then also, with that kind of process, you can easily be accepted through the Federation of Football of Australia as one of their agents. Now, in summary, making sure that you are legally registered as an agent in the appropriate association is very key. And there are harsh implications if the rules are not abided by. So if you are registered in Nigeria and you are not abiding by the rules, there are implications that may tamper either your license may be withdrawn or one or two other benefits you are enjoying as an intermediary will be taken away from you. Now, if you are an intermediary of a player transferring to another country, you may or may not have to register as an intermediary in that new country as well. This depends on the exact rules set out by each federation. I think this was also mentioned by Udo. For example, if I'm transferring a player to Brazil and the domestic rules or regulations in Brazil say that for anybody to move a player to a particular club in Brazil must be registered in the Brazil FA, meaning I have to now pass through the process of registering there, or I need to look for a Brazilian agent to work closely with. Or in some cases, just like Asudo said, you might close out the deal with that agent and have an understanding with the club to make sure you retrieve whatever commission that is due to you. So I think that's just all I have for today. I don't know, let me entertain some questions before I run away.
Anyone with question? Henry.
Hello.
Yeah.
But I'm okay. I'm okay. I don't really have question. The question I would have asked was what Mr. Easy asked. I'm okay. I got what he said.
Okay.
Yeah, I get. I followed. I really understood what he said.
Okay, thank you. Eddie. As a Nigerian, as a registered intermediary in Nigeria, can we or can I also register in any African country since we are all under CAF?
Yes, you can, but you must align with the domestic rules of that particular country. So as I mentioned earlier, some of the rules that are applicable in Nigeria might not be the same that is applicable in Ghana. So you can register. Though some countries are very specific, they will tell you that if you have affinity, intermediary affinity with them, you don't need to have any form of such affinity with any other club, any other country. So, but I believe over time, I believe that most registration can actually be done via multiple registration in other countries. So I believe it's very, very possible.
All right, thank you. And one more question. Can a registered intermediary in Nigeria, can we work for multiple clubs in Nigeria?
Yes, it's almost the same working for multiple players. So you don't have restriction or a ceiling on the number of clients you have. Depend on your management level. So long you can manage them, you can have as much as you can. So nobody places a ceiling on it. So that's just it.
And lastly, if you are to advise FIFA on their planned new intermediary regulation, what would be your advice to FIFA?
One of my basic advice is if FIFA can make it a bit compulsory for at least professional players to be well guided. I'm looking at it from the angle of Nigeria, you understand, because we have instances whereby most players in Nigeria, they are not represented by a registered intermediary and they are having issues and they see themselves losing out at the end. I know it's not really compulsory, but especially those in the professional level, they should have somebody that is guiding them, that is also registered. I'm aware, I've forgotten this Argentine player that the wife also have to go and enroll as a licensed intermediary so that he can be representing the husband. So I believe if FIFA can make it compulsory for those in professional cadre, that is the players, to ensure they have intermediary. But that is really not possible, but that is also a suggestion. Then two, over time, FIFA have actually said they no longer to be mediating or settling dispute between players and agents. I would suggest to FIFA that they should also consider settling such dispute once again because it's football related. So that we have issues whereby job will be done for players and they will not pay whatever fee that is agreed or whatever fee. So FIFA should still come in resolving issues of dispute between players and intermediary. Then lastly, on the cap they put on the fee. And also they should allow dual representation. I would suggest to FIFA to allow because the regulation, the draft I saw, they said that there will no longer be dual representation, that if you are representing a player, you cannot represent club. You should allow dual representation so long there is no conflict of interest. We tell FIFA to allow that to happen. Then a cap on the earnings of the players, it shouldn't be for all cases. I was happy when I saw the first draft. There's a range. They say if it is to this amount, this is the maximum you can take. For this amount to this amount, you can take this amount. So for something like a $1 million worth of transaction and below, at least they should allow 10% to go because the agent would have invested a lot in it. So but when it's more than $5 million, $10 million, 100 million, if you are saying 5%, or if I even say 3%, that is also a good sum of money. So I think what I would say is that the capping should be based on the amount that is involved in that particular contract.
I will advise you to put your suggestion on the draft of the the new regulation from FIFA and send it directly to IFA. So IFA can work on it too. And finally, if you are to advise NFF, the Nigeria Football Federation, on the way they register intermediaries, what would be your advice?
Just like the US, I will say they should be doing background check on their player, on the proposed agent. So I want it to let them see how at least to some extent the people that they are engaging as agents, or the people that they are saying, okay, come and be an agent, you are qualified. They should do a background check. I've worked as an agent. They've actually not portrayed good character. So I believe if the NFF have actually done a background check on some of those persons, they wouldn't be crooks amongst us. There are cases. I have facts and I have evidence of agents that will go back and lure players to abandon their club or just do one or two funny things that is very, very, very embarrassing. Some agents, they forge documents just to make sure the deal goes through. There are very, very, very funny things. I really don't know how to say it, but there are some things that in Nigeria we are not doing right. We are not doing right, and I would have wished that our federation do a background check. Not just anybody can actually get the what's it called now, the police character report and come and submit. But even after that, they should also do a background check, either through the state FA of that person or any other method that they can use to do a background check on a particular prospective agent. It will go a long way in curbing all this issue, because you agree with me, I don't know, but you agree with me too that we've actually had cases of a lot of players that have been abandoned in some countries, that some registered agents were involved. They just pick up this player, abandon them. In some cases, they will collect money from this player. So it's something that is not right at all. So by the time a background check is done on some of all these players, a prospective agent, something like this will be averted. So I believe if the NFF adopts a background check, it will be very, very good. I don't know if there is any other question.
Hello. Yeah. Meanwhile, the background check is not a bad idea. I feel it's a very good idea. But how do you do background check in a country that does not have a database? Nigeria as a country, sorry to say this, we don't know our citizens. If a Nigerian man comes now, pay the 300,000, they will register him. One, then even if it's what they call it, a fugitive from Edo State comes to Abuja and pay the money, they will register him, because everything, the system, you can beat the system in every aspect. So in such a situation, what would you advise NFF to do, considering the peculiarities that are associated to Nigeria?
Thank you for that.
I agree with you.
Just read my mind.
Hello. Hello.
Go ahead, Eddie, go ahead.
Why?
Okay, I agree with you. Unfortunately, we are in a nation where we don't really have any database. You are very correct. Even a Ghanaian can come to Nigeria and register as an intermediary. That is why I'm not a politician, but most of these people, they still claim some of our people, some of our leaders currently. Some of them are not Nigeria, that they are from Niger and some other neighboring countries. It's unfortunate that we don't have a database of our citizens. We cannot even ascertain where an individual stays, unlike the US. The US, just enter your social security number, it brings out all the data concerning that particular individual. That is not obtainable here. I don't know about you, but I've registered for the national ID card since 2014. To date, I still don't have the card over 6 years. And whatever I need to do, it's the reality. Whatever I need to do, meaning I can.
I'm a victim too. That's why I'm laughing. I'm a victim too. That's why I'm laughing.
If national ID card matter,
no, enjoy now. Enjoy. When they talk about database, honestly, these are basic things. Like in the US now, as they born picking, they go just enter information once. When it don't reach the adulthood, that they give them passport. Information, in fingerprint, that is why they can easily get fingerprint, because some of all this information are enter once. That is why a crime is easily traceable. It's not that some people are not getting away with it in the more civilized nation, but they actually put some of all these things in place as form of control measure to make sure that crime rate and other form of issues are a bit limited. You understand? So I believe when we are up to that stage, we can. So like you now that saying, in fact, I was one of the founding member of Football Intermediary Association, but fortunately for now, my vision with them clashed. Let me use that word. Personally, I step aside for now. I'm not in that association for now. I suspended my membership because it's a voluntary association. You can decide to suspend your membership. I suspended my membership because my vision and the current leadership did not go well. So now, what we actually recommended as at that time when I was there is that since we know ourselves more, let's see how we can push the NFF that before they register anybody, they will have to pass through us, maybe a recommendation from an already existing agent. You understand? But other people have some other views. They say, what about if it's a situation whereby the agent now that's supposed to recommend, just like when we talk about in school, when a HOD need to maybe assent to a document for someone to go for some scholarship exam or do any other thing. What about if the agent now, the bigger one that's supposed to recommend, does not like the face of the new person? You are not depriving a body or a new person that need to come into the business. So that particular suggestion really did not pass through generally, because we are humans, and sometimes most of the things we do, we add sentiment in our judgment. Ordinarily, it's expected that if you are the one recommending, you look at this person, if it meets the criteria, you sign off and it goes. But we would like to be tribalistic. We're talking about ethnic, we're talking about religion, just to make sure only our people feel that particular business line. So that really did not go well. So for the challenge we have on documentation, on background check, is something that is still going to persist for a long time. But we're hoping maybe one day or someday we'll have a government that we enact some policies for us to write this on. Because I don't see any reason whereby I have an international passport, I have a national ID card, I have BVN, some of all these databases, they should just centralize it and see how they can synchronize all of them together. And everybody will know that, oh, my data is secure. I need to be careful. If I do something, it can affect my entire documentation. So I think we still have a long way to go, but that's politics. We're talking football. So for now, we're still going to manage it like that for now.
Okay, Joshua.
Okay. Okay, I can go ahead, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, considering this fact, the truth is, we are not used to the Nigerian system. So we already know that we have some factors that are militating against us. Now, considering this fact, as agents, how do we make it better? As in, if you are to advise NFF, or let's say, okay, fine, how do we avoid such scenario? Is there any way, like, whereby, let's say, for example, that I know Apostle Mike and have done a transaction with him, if we can get something like a forum whereby, let's say, if our transaction did not go well or he has questionable character, I can air my view so that anybody that is coming to deal with him will be aware of him. You understand? I don't know, is there any such thing currently existing, or can it be put in place? Because
Okay, Joshua, thank you very, very much. Personally, I had
Eddie, are you there?
Yeah, okay, I'm back. Joshua, I believe you can hear me now. I actually had a very bad experience. Let me just state it the way it is. I actually took someone as a mentor in this business when I came in. I was learning under him. And during when he was carrying me along, we did a job together. I did almost all the documentation because the player was in my location. So it happened that the case, it was before FIFA, a case of overdue payables, that is indebtedness to a player. And the case was won by the club and won by the agent. That's we now, we and the player now won the case. And the money was paid, in trust. I appealed to the player because the agent made me to understand. By then, I was still a bit younger in this business. It made me to understand that in most cases, some of all these players, when they pay money to them, they don't like paying agent commission and the rest, that I should tell the player to sign that we will receive the money. That is, he will be the one to receive the money, but I'm on his own side. That we will receive the money. The money is that whatever that we recover, we will take 40%, and the player will take 60%. So I made the player sign that document and he sent to him. Unfortunately, the clubs, they paid this money in excess of over 10 million to this man. He's a notable agent. I really don't want to disclose his name. Maybe over time people might get to know.
No.
But
Don't go there.
they paid the money into this guy's account. As I speak to you, over 3-4 years now, the player has not gotten the 60% due to him. Even me and him that did the job, the 40% that ought to be due to us, this man did not give me a dime of that money. So we have people that are questionable. And I tell you the truth, the boy even got a lawyer and a complaint was sent to the General Secretary of the Nigeria Football Federation. I can tell you, I still have record that to date, the person was not sanctioned. It's very unfortunate. So, for example, now you now see that, okay, you see an agent that does things that he's not supposed to do. You say, okay, this regulatory body, let me at least tell them so that they investigate. You are not even saying the person is guilty. Look at my complaint. Look at this case. Investigate if it is true. Sanction. Nigeria Football Federation, we have people, a lot of people there that are talking about parties and the rest. And party things have actually spoiled a lot of things in this country, honestly. Relationship, it doesn't matter because he's my friend, so long as my friend, it cannot what? It cannot, I cannot sanction him. So that is the major challenge we have in Nigeria. So I'm believing that's why I talked about dispute. So for example, now that was a dispute between a footballer and an intermediary. So for example, if FIFA had a window whereby they can actually mediate between dispute between agents or intermediary and a player, I think this particular case would have been presented before FIFA, and FIFA would have actually listened to it and make sure that it is resolved. So we have a lot of people that are terrible and questionable character. So I want to also appeal to us, especially most of us that are aspiring intermediate. We need to be very careful in the people who collaborate with. A lot of persons will accept every terms you are offering, but the time money comes, they will want to shift goalposts. You understand? And there is not supposed to be that. There's no way that a game is starting and the goalpost is set. Then after 10 minutes, they'll say, this goalpost is too small. Let's widen it a little. They don't shift goalposts after the game have already started. So that is one thing that you have to be very careful with. So we know somehow from interaction, personally, I wouldn't say I have that gift. From interaction I have with people, I can ascertain some person have some questionable character. So I'll be very careful on the kind of information I let out to that person. I will have to also withhold some things from such a person. So I know this is our business. We bring about connection, we bring about relating with others. But you try just be careful. Let me use that one. Just be careful because you can work so hard in a deal and someone somewhere will just decide to just cramp everything and decide to what? To go away with it. And in Nigeria for now, with the party kind of football we have in Nigeria, there is no regulatory body that is going to stand as a form of authority to sanction anybody when it comes there. By then we're not talking about police case and all the rest. So let's just be careful in this business. Thank you.
Sorry. Considering that scenario, because we learn every day, and by the time we analyze situations, we will not make such mistake. Do you think that, let's say you, maybe out of ignorance or maybe out of trust, waived your rights, as in you willingly waived your right to him? Because from what you said, I don't know if you guys had any written agreements as in you and him. You understand? Because now it's only the player that has what they call it, an issue with him, because they agreed that it was going to be 60-40. But the player has already said that they should pass the money through him. So, and probably there was no clause or nothing that would say, okay, this is the time frame when you will pay me. So I think technicalities and how will I put it, experience which also played had a better of you. I don't know if what I said has made any sense.
No, you are very correct. I will agree with you. Personally, I would say the experience majorly, because if I was experienced enough, I would have said that 40% that you say is coming to us, how are we going to split it? In fact, now, Seth, some of the job I'm doing, if I'm collaborating with others, in fact, Michael is here. Let me just say that I can mention his name. He will not beat me. We did a collaboration in a job. I involved some other persons too. So I told him, this XYZ amount that is coming, how are we going to split it? So we already have the understanding now that money has not come. So by the time it comes, but tomorrow the money can still come. We don't know how Michael is. Maybe my decide say, Eddie, I will not going to give you that money. But I know we already have an existing agreement. So then I can now hold on to it. This is our agreement from the beginning before this money comes. So really, I did not have that particular one. You are very, very correct. Then on the aspect of the player, talking about the duration is supposed to pay. Ordinarily, as an agent, you are not supposed to receive any money coming for a player, unless if he expressly states it. Especially for for recovery, fine, you can, because a player has given you that mandate and power of attorney to receive any receivable and do any presentation on his behalf. So, but there was really no speculation or of a time frame to pay that money. But ordinarily, professionalism behoves on us that immediately receive that money. For me, if I'm to be that person, I would take the one that belongs to me and pay the one that belongs to the player. But you know, everybody, they are not the same. So I think in that aspect of technicality, fine, I agree with you too. There's no specification. Maybe you might even say the money is still coming. You know, somebody confronted him on my behalf and he told me he invested the player's money. So money that does not belong to you, invested the player's money. Oh, that was so surprising that let me just end it there. Let me end it there. Thank you.
Let me take you back. Charles, you want to say something?
Yeah, I really want to say something.
No, I want to say something. Okay.
Yeah, it's
sorry, go on, Charles. No, go on, Charles.
Okay, sorry to cut you short, my brother. Yeah,
No
something
problem.
I have been experiencing even before I joined this platform, and ever since I joined you, Bros Mike, I would say it's a godly thing that will, I don't know how it came to me, but I know since I've joined you and Bros Eddie, the way you people talk about this intermediary stuff, agents and manager is something I have not really heard of from people I have met before you guys. And I will confess, I must confess, I'm very pleased with it. I think one of the major things it's a kind of thing I have experienced, and I'm still seeing it happening every day. All the thing that is disheartening, or that is breaking, or that is giving this work a very bad name, or giving me concern sometimes, that some of the intermediaries, or let's say agents, this is a general name in Nigeria, some of the agents, they are always after the money. Though money is one of the things that made us go into business, venture into business, but most cases you find out that some players might not really get the start to move. So I think that is what is really killing this whole job, or disturbing this job. This is my own observation, and I just really want to say it here. since we are discussing. Thank you.
Yeah, first season.
Yeah, thank you very much. Please, I would like to ask this question. If a deal is about to be signed, and what's it called, after calculating the whole thing, let's just assume that you are an agent, and you've agreed with your player that you are getting, what's it called, 10%, and the club is about to make the payment. Is it the club that will be splitting, will be giving you your own 10% while will be giving the players his own share? Or the whole thing will be paid to the player and you expect the player to pay you? Or the whole thing will be paid to you and you expect and the player expects you to pay him? That's number one. Then number two, what's it called? Okay, what if you now decide to collaborate with an international agent? Let's just say you have this international agent in what's it called, in international intermediary in France, and he got your player a trial, and you've handed your player over to him after giving him the mandate, and you people sign, okay, fine, 10% will be shared between the both of us. So when the payment is about to be made, it's still going back to that first
Eddie.
question. How would the payment be made? So be very careful, or else most times you'll just be the one.
Eddie, over to you.
Hello, am I communicating?
Yeah.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Your first question, if the payment is being made by the club or by the player, in most cases, the payment ought to come from the player, because the player that engage you for the services. So, and in most clubs, the part of the player salaries are usually paid in lump sum. Part of it are paid in lump. For example, if player sign a contract to receive $10,000 for a year, the club might decide to pay maybe like $300,000 as he's signing. So from that particular one, from the total sum, which is about $120,000, the player can actually pay you the $12,000 that is due to you, which is your 10%. You understand? So also he can still give authority to the club to pay you from his own earnings. Normally the payment ought to come to the player make instant transfer to you. You even need to even present an invoice to the player, pay me for the service I've done, and he now pays. I think that is how it is. Then if you are collaborating with another agent in another country and the payment is being made, you agree with that agent from the onset. You agree with that agent from the onset that the 10% that will be made, this is how it will be splitted. I've been involved in a deal that the money was splitted among about 4 agents. Some of them one got 25, another got 25, another got, about 4 of them got 25% of the 10%. I don't know if you understand. The 10% now is now 100%. So let me just say one of them got 2.5% of the player salary. Another one got 2.5% of the player salary. Another one got 2.5% salary, because 4 of them work to make sure the deal works and they all represented the player.
Yeah, first.
So I don't know if with that, if I'm okay. Michael, you can see Arturisa.
Yeah, you want to add something? First season.
Yeah. I said thank you very much for this, but I believe that if you're the owner of the player and you have a grip over the player, at that moment that things are ready to be set or the money is with the player, there's a way you can let the player know how he's going to split the money among the agents, rather than you telling him that you should just give the money, the entire money, to the foreign agent. Okay,
I agree with you.
if the word, okay, fine, this 10%. Hello?
No, I agree with you. Now try understand this thing that terms of sharing of any form of earnings should be agreed from the onset. It's not something when it is set. When it is set,
because the reason why I'm saying this, because the reason why I'm saying this is just that once it comes to money, we are all human. Forget black, white, green, yellow, brown, anything. Once it comes to money, we are all human. people may decide, greedy person may decide to want to go greedy at any time. We can decide to go gaga at any moment. So once it's like that, I just believe that to secure some things, since is your player, you have grip over this player. And if you have been so nice to this player from the onset, this player is still liable to you. This player can still listen to you. Since the money is going to him, you can still instruct him that, okay, fine, this thing is 10%. Okay, fine, you give this guy, the other agent is going to give you his own account. You pay this into this account and this into my account. No matter how, if you have grip over your player, no matter how any agent is trying to like change his mind towards you, for that period that you people have contract, be the contract between you and the player is just for 5 years. For that period that you people have contract for, I'm telling you, this player will trust you. Or else, if you have done anything stupid or greedy to this player that will make this player to really want of this particular aspect. But that one goes that way. I feel you. But what I want to, another question about your own commission. Are you working based on everything that the player will be earning? I mean, will you be working just as a
Are you there?
Sorry, I lost you, guy. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay. What was the last thing you heard, please? So I can continue from there. Because I don't know how long I've lost you people. I'm so sorry.
Just go back and ask again.
Okay, fine. What I'm just trying to say, my next question is just that how are you as the agent working your commission? I mean, okay, let's just put in an assumption and let's just assume that this player will be paid, let's just say 5,000, let's just say 5,000 yearly. And these guys, what's it called? Maybe his bonuses. I think they have match bonuses, they have winning bonuses, every other bonus. Are you still good, apart from you working your own commission based on that $5,000, are you still working your bonus too but are you still working your commission too on the bonuses?
No.
Yeah. So I just want to know
No. When you are signing contract, representation contract with players, if you add it that you are going to be shared, you are going to have share from all his earning, that is fine. But sometimes players do contract their image right and some other endorsement to another agent. You can only represent the player for transfer. Like your player is going to Real Madrid, the player will ask you to work its transfer from so team to so team, and you get your share. Such player can have contract with another agent to work on his image right endorsement. So it's the agent that will have certain percentage from image right and endorsement. On the bonuses, match bonuses, winning bonuses, allowances, agent don't have right. Personal to the player. That is his personal effort. That if he scores
good.
But in some cases, like the super agent, Mino Raola can work it out. Judge Mendes can work it out. That I will make sure.
I noticed that the both of them always working that out.
I will make sure this team pay you $20,000 per go. But from that $20,000, you are going to give me so amount. That is separate contract, not the one FIFA will see.
Good.
Yes. True is Mino Raola, the Judge Mendes of this time. True,
it's just personal between himself and the player.
they will do that through their effort that they are big agents. Club do listen to them. They will tell you, you need this player. If you need, like during the transfer of Pogba, Raula told Man U, if you need Pogba, you need to give me so amount.
Yeah.
And Man U agreed. From what Udo presented today, it shows Raula got 41.3 million
Yeah,
pounds
41.3 million. Yeah. Yeah.
from Pogba's transfer. A transfer of 89 million pounds, and an agent is earning 41.3. So that is the power of super agent. But for the smaller agent, no, it's no go area.
Deal went through. I was thinking maybe he was one of the club's agents too, and at the same time Pogba's agents. That was why he earned that much.
It's not working.
I never knew that. Yeah.
It's only representing player.
Wow.
Yes, and he collected shares from Juventus and Man U.
And Man U, yes.
Yes.
Yes, because I read that too. So I thought maybe he was working for either Man U or Juve.
No. During the course of the transfer, Juventus now passed what they're supposed to pay Raula to Man U. That so far you need Pogba.
Yeah.
You are the percentage we're supposed to pay is agent. That is the agent fee. It's you that will pay it. Man U agreed. So Man U paid Juventus shares. That the agency fee that Juventus supposed to pay to Raula, Man U paid. Man U responsible for it. So that's why
I think Man U even paid him about 20 million or something like that.
It's more than that. Everything they got 41.3. So that is his own effort. But in Nigeria, sometimes if you want to transfer a player like from Man U, let me say Kano Pillars to Warri Wolf, you can instruct the player to work out your own percentage. Not that they will be paying money to his account. He should instruct the club. They should pay so amount to my agent every month from his own salary. If that is in writing and submitted to the club won't have cost to pay everything to him. Your own will be paying to your account, and the player's own will be paying to his own account too. I've done that sometimes some years back, and it worked. It's just that we have some lazy administrator in Nigeria. They will tell you they can't be sharing money, that they can only pay to one account, all those things. So that is that. Eddie.
Okay.
All right. On a final note, let me disclose my face now. Sorry,
hold on. Not a final note. Hold on. I want to ask you.
No. Okay. Oh yeah. Let me add to. Oh yeah. Wait now. Wait. Okay. Let me add to.
Are you in South Africa that you're wearing Kaiser sheep?
No, it's from somebody. My clients. I represent Akpeyi Daniel. Is one of the souvenirs from one of my clients. Yes, he's my client.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, so now I want to tell us too. If we were talking about agents, some agent being funding and the rest, my experience in this business is that players are more funny. I tell you, from experience I've had, a friend of mine will always say that if you see a snake and a Nigerian footballer coming, that he will kill the Nigerian footballer before you consider killing the snake. I'm telling you, real life. So, someone said that we prefer to kill a fellow human being before he kills a snake,
how dangerous they can be.
Personally, I've had one funny experience too. I specifically have a player represented in negotiating his contract. He moved to Enyimba Football Club. And it happened that during the course of the deal, he was having some financial challenges. And it happened that I think I loaned him, should be a figure over 500,000 or so. So he told me I shouldn't worry that when the club pays, he will pay me. I negotiated a salary for him of about 600,000 naira. That's what he was earning. and the
Yeah.
total money I'm supposed to earn 10% of whatever he earns. So it happened that they paid him the first month. I said, big man, my money I borrowed you. By then I needed to pay my children's school fees, rent. I can't remember, but I was really in need of money. So I appealed to the big man. They paid you salary now. If it is parts, if you just pay me something from me, because you know that Imba have not paid your contract renewal fee, so I don't really have anything now. Because what we agreed before is that the 10% that I'm entitled to, I will take it when Imba pays the contract renewal fee. So
Okay.
on a monthly basis, he's not paying me any money. So we just calculated it. I think the total sum then was about 1.2 million that I'm supposed to earn for the contract I negotiated. So, and I also borrowed the money. So I told him, he refused. They paid him another salary, he refused. So Eyimba made part payment of 500,000. And I told him that this 500,000 is 100% for me for the money I have borrowed you. The young man said no, that he's in need of money. I said, you have received salary on 3 occasions, and the same money, me that borrowed you money when you were in need. Now, this money has come, I shouldn't take my, he said, no, he said I shouldn't take it. I insisted on taking 300,000 and I sent him 200,000. I said, okay, maybe it should be that you've paid my money. He said, no, he said he was in need of money. I should have just take only 100,000 and sent him 400,000. You know, I'm telling you about the greediness these guys can actually portray. You know, during the course of this transaction, he now wrote to the club that he do not know me anymore, that I'm no longer his agent. You know, whether he believes that on his own he can just terminate a contract. You know, some of these guys, they believe contract talks about 2 parties, and for it to be terminated, the 2 parties must assent their signature to it also for it to be valid. That is why most clubs that on their comfort of their office, they will just issue clearance that they've absorbed themselves of all financial obligations due to their players, and now they are no longer indebted to the player. The player is clear and free to play for any club. That one is not valid. If the contract is being terminated, the 2 parties that enter the contract, the ab initio, should also be party to the termination of that contract. So he said that later to Eyimba. Eyimba now contacted me. I said, no. I said, we still have an existing contract that is binding us. I shared the representation contract with them. They say, yes, good, we have a representation contract. They have to appeal to him to come and get back to him because there's no dealing they can deal with him directly. So the thing really caused a lot of issues. At the end, the earnings that come to me, I think it took about 800,000 from it also. I know it took some part of the money, but I had some close friends, they were just talking to me that I should let him go, that whatever is dragging me off now, in future, he will somehow lose that money, you know. I really, this is my business that I've been in. I've really been favored in a lot of ways that I don't like having issues with people because of money. So that is how I just let go that particular instance. And at the end, the players even called me that he needed my assistance and needed to do 1 or 2 things, which I actually billed him so much, and he have to run away. So that is just it. You need to be very careful too with the players. So Joshua that was saying that a grip on the player, you cannot hold a grip on the Nigerian players. Especially when we're talking about going to Europe, especially they see that I'm not a racist here, but an average Nigerian football player will believe the lie a European agent will tell him that the truth a Nigerian agent is telling him. I'm not talking about racism here, but because of experience, he will tell you because the Oyibo man says it is correct. So the average Nigerian player, you need to be very careful. So don't talk about grip. I know I have a grip on a player that always comes to my house. He even sleeps in my house, feed in my house. Immediately he was in Europe. He signed a representation contract with another agent without my knowledge. So they are very funny, just for us to be careful and be prayerful too, for some of us that are a bit religious, because me, I believe in God. And you see God just favoring you in your own way. Thank you.
Wow, because of our time has gone. So I will want us to close this section now. So, Eddie, I want you to answer this question. In
Okay,
England,
shoot.
There is no way a player will sign contract without the use of an intermediary. Let me say in Europe, the Western Europe, there is no way a player will sign a contract without the use of an intermediary. But in Nigeria, even our FA will tell you it's not compulsory. Why can't they compulsory it? Why can't the FA mandated it for all players to be using intermediary? 2 minutes.
All right. Thank you so much, Mike. If I respond to you, in the Western world, one thing they have as one of their form of revenue is taxation. And they believe that some of all this, in fact, they take football as business in the Western world. But in Nigeria, you agree with me that we still take it as charity. That is why they believe that they cannot force anybody to use an intermediary. So in the FA, they believe that this is business and it must be done professionally. Players, most of them, especially in Nigeria, I said it yesterday, that quote me, more than 80% of Nigerian footballers are not educated. They cannot even understand what they are signing. So FA introducing that particular condition, it also guides and protects the player. It guides and protects the player. Like there's one of my boys that is supposed to sign for Heartland. In fact, they sent me the document for me to sign my portion. I read through the portion. I know I mentioned it yesterday. I read through the document and I now called him. Do you know what you signed? He said, yes, he signed 2 years contract and it will pay him 300,000. Are you aware that you signed that this club can just decide to sack you after 1 month? He said he read it, but he didn't understand it. So you can see there now, that is also an avenue to protect the interests of the players. So that is why in the UK and most Western, they makes it compulsory that the player, for it to sign, you need to have a legal a representative form of a registered intermediary. But for now, Nigeria, the business is like charity. Most of our clubs are being sponsored by state funds, and even the private owners are being frustrated out of the business, talking about the kind of officiating we have in our league venues and the rest. So I don't know, but I believe with time, we have a David that will come and deliver us from the shackles of this Goliath. So maybe until then, we still just have to manage with what we have.
All right, thank you, everyone. I really want to appreciate you. I can't thank you enough. It has been a busy day for me here. I've attended the seminar this morning, how to do business in Spain, organized by the European Football Agent Association. And as we speak now, I'm going to attend another seminar by 4 p.m. Nigeria time, organized by the FIFA Fan Movement. I'm a member of FIFA Fan Movement. So it's been a busy day here. So I want to appreciate you all. You have a wonderful day. All the videos, the documents, the certificates will be sent to your email as soon as possible. And if you have any questions, you can directly to me. I will answer you. I think you have exchanged your contact, Henry, Obieke, Ibrahim. I think you have exchanged your contact. It's good to exchange contact in this kind of gathering. So
what about I recommended some books for them. I don't know if you can share with them if they can, because in this business you need to be grounded in the rules. And I think there are 2 books I sent to Mike. If you can, I want you to get them. Is something you need to read and study, and it gives you more understanding and
I will
more
send
knowledge.
everything to them.
Okay, perfect.
And there is this book. I don't know if you can get it. If you can, try to get it. football agent, how to become a football agent. And there is another one, the Dundee is good for agents. You can get it. And I have so many here, but because of our time. And let me tell you this, if you are working with teams, by January 15, 2021, there is going to be a scouting program for players between the age of 16 and 20. So the scouts are coming from Ukraine. It's going to be in Abuja. You can contact me if you have interest. If you want to participate or you have a team that you want to register, you can contact me.
Any age limit, Ross?
Yeah, between 16 to 20.
Okay.
Yeah. So, thank you all. Go.
Try and get the names of those books across to us. Thank you, Ross.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, the trial, does it involve any money or is it a free trial?
It's a free trial. It's a free one.
Okay, okay.
All right, thank you. You let me see your face.
Thank
Emmanuel, show your face. I can see Charles Obiake's face. He's a big man. Emmanuel Henry, oh, he's a big guy too. Eze, Joshua. Eze, are you working with the NFF? I can see the picture of the NFF president behind you. You need to work with your audio. Anyway, I appreciate you all. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Welcome, Ross.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Cheers,
everybody, and hope we'll see some other time very soon.
Yeah, see you pretty soon too.